Welcome to the AI for Interior Designers podcast, where creativity meets cutting edge technology. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of artificial intelligence and explore how it's revolutionizing the interior design industry. From AI-powered design tools to the latest trends and innovations, we've got you covered. So plug in, relax, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Welcome to AI for Interior Designers podcast. P.S. This intro was written by and voiced by AI to sound like your host, Jenna Gaidusek. Hey designers, welcome back for episode 36 of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. I'm your host, Jenna Gaidusek, and today I have a lovely guest, somebody that I've been trying to connect with and get on the podcast for a while, but she's just like me, but in more of the graphic design space, and comes with just years of very parallel you'll hear it in a minute, but very parallel backgrounds, just in kind of a different space with her visuals and creative marketing and all that stuff. So today's discussion is one that we have been planning for a while, and we've been trying to figure out what will we even talk about, because Lauren deVane, who is my guest today, your AI Auntie, if you look for her on Instagram, she is, first of all, she's so cool. I just like having cool guests on here, and I think all of my guests have been cool. I don't know if you guys think that, but I have been just so honored over the past year to have such great people to come on and just tell their experiences about AI. So when I was trying to figure out with Lauren, what are we going to talk about? We could talk about anything. There's so many options because she's like me. She is an AI explorer and she nerds out about all this stuff. So we're always seeing each other's stuff on Instagram, and we're like, okay, that's cool. Okay, I got to go try that. And so today's discussion is kind of just a fun way to wrap up the end of the year. This is going to be the final episode of 2024. So I'm glad that it's with Lauren, because we're just talking about all things AI. And it's been great to see another woman in the space too, because the tech industry is so male dominated. But we're not developers. We just simply nerd out about it. We're just design geeks that love technology. So it's cool to just have a conversation and be like, what are you doing? What do you think is cool? What is the latest update that you find is helpful for whatever you're doing? So it's just nice to have somebody like that in your life, whether it's an Instagram friend or a real life friend. And so far she's been an Instagram friend, but hopefully in real life, maybe we'll meet each other in the new year. I would love to collaborate with her on some things. So anyway, today's discussion is just going to be where are we at with AI, and what are the tools available, and what have we seen, and all of the things. All right. So this is not a focused topic as much as we may have wanted it to be, but I am totally fine with that if you guys aren't. It's just I think it's fun to listen to, two people that are in the space and we really dig into this space. So I do hope that you enjoy today's episode. Again, it will be the last one for the year. I'm going to take a little break. I had a year. So I'm going to figure out over break while I'm spending time with family, which I'm very excited about, and not taking any meetings. I am going to be just kind of figuring out how many times I traveled this year, how many presentations I did. I have no idea. That's how many I did. And it was a year of yes for me, where that was my motto. It's just say yes and see what happens, and show up. That was my other thing. So if you heard the marketing episode, hopefully you'll be joining the marketing, the AI marketing for 2025 workshop that I'll be doing on January 7th. I'll put that in the notes below. But Instagram and showing up and just being there and doing my thing, it made a difference, being true to what I wanted to do, and not really caring about what other people thought about it, and just doing it to show up for me and to prove to myself that if I show up every day, opportunities will come, and say yes to those opportunities when they do come. And it worked. Like it just, that mentality, that motto, that work ethic, it worked. And I am so grateful for all of the opportunities that I have been presented with, both last year and the ones that are already flooding my inbox for this year. Where I'm so internally grateful that I get to do this. It's such a fun job, and it's just I don't know. It's rewarding. It's rewarding to be able to like just talk to you guys about something that I love and something that I just enjoy doing. And that's why I started doing this. And that's why I started this podcast, because I just want to tell you guys stuff. I just want to talk to cool people. I don't at this point care about monetizing, hopefully one day. I mean, that'd be cool, but that's not why I started this podcast. I started this so that I could just show up, be present, reuse and repurpose content, which I've been terrible at doing because, again, I've been very busy. So I'm going to take these a couple of weeks here over the break, not release a episode. I have a really good episode planned for the first of the year, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I just need a break. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take time with my family. I'm not going to take any meetings, and I'm going to regroup, and I am going to prepare for what I know is going to be another crazy year in 2025, and just trying to get a handle on everything, because this just took off. And like I said, I'm just like eternally grateful for all of the opportunity and for getting to know so many of you. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and new year, and I will see you back in January. But without further ado, let's speak with Lauren deVane, and let's have a fun conversation about AI to wrap up the year. All right. Thanks for listening. Lauren, thank you so much for joining me today. Excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. I've been listening since you started, and obviously I'm a big fan of AI. So any women that are talking about it, I'm listening.
That's awesome. Same. That's why I started following you too. I mean, we're like 2 seconds into it, but why don't you just tell us what your handle is? Because I know a lot of people will probably also want to follow you for your AI tips on Instagram.
For sure. On Instagram, I'm the Bemused Studio. It was funny, actually. Somebody sent me a post from Merriam-Webster that was doing their Spotify Wrapped, and it was like, you used the word bemused 13 times this year and still don't know what it means. I was like, finally.
That's awesome.
People still don't know what it means, but that's my handle. But a lot of people know me as your AI Auntie.
Cool.
Maybe I'll switch it one day, but not yet.
Yeah. Just let them find you now. Cool. Okay. So I will also put that in show notes, because as many of you guys know, I share a lot of AI tips that are more related to interior design professionals in the industry. But Lauren, tell us your background and like what you share, those types of tips.
So I started my career in design. I have always been interested in design. I've always been very like tech forward focused. I taught myself Photoshop when I was like 10 years old. This is like before YouTube. And then I was in yearbook. So I've just always been like a creative at heart. I went to J school for a semester, thought I wanted to do journalism and writing. And then I ended up transferring to an art school, Columbia College in Chicago, got my degree in design there. And then I started working for Walgreens corporate. Okay. And I was there for 5 years, kind of wore every creative design hat you could wear. I helped start their social media team. I helped rebrand the photo department. I did a lot of stuff there. And then from there, I went to Ulta Beauty, and I was at Ulta Beauty for almost 6 years. When I left, I was overseeing all of the creative for social media there. So cool. I had been for that decade of time, I was really in all of these different roles where I was creative directing, I was art directing, I was styling, I was shooting, I was doing all this stuff, working with influencers. And then when I left to start my brand design studio, I was doing that for about 2 years. And then AI started really hitting the scene very early on, but I started playing with it. And because I'd had all of that background and been in all those different roles, I was like, oh man, this is going to change so much. It's going to change the creative field. It's going to change the creative landscape and how creatives work so much that I immediately was like, shift. I am changing what I'm doing because I see that this is the future. And
Mhm.
luckily enough, I mean, it seems like I was right at this point,
Yeah.
but yeah, so now I'm really focused on helping creative entrepreneurs figure out how they can be using AI in their creative workflows and their business workflows to create content and market themselves. And yeah, that's really what I'm focused on now. And it's super exciting.
That's awesome. It's so funny that like we really have very parallel backgrounds. So same thing, but for me, it wasn't Photoshop, it was Sims and I was designing rooms like, 2003. So
Oh, I was doing that too. I was definitely doing that too.
So when you're saying like I went to design school, you went to more of a graphic design school than interior design, right? I just want to
Exactly. So
clarify. Okay.
I got a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, with an
Mhm.
emphasis on graphic design. So
Okay.
it was very much like typography, layout
Yep.
design, like all the
Love it.
graphic side of things.
Yep.
Not if you looked in my house, you would not think I'm an interior designer.
Yeah. Well, right now it looks like you are.
Well,
Great
I use it
background.
with AI.
Yeah. Did you? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm making a ton of stuff right now. And for some spec homes, I'm doing some AI art and pillows so that we
I
can
mean, it's
test
so
them.
smart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. And you get all the exact colors, like you can make your own stuff. I've been doing it for over a year now. It's super fun. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, honestly, there was no game plan, but Lauren and I just kind of always are like sending stuff back and forth on Instagram or like, she posts cool shit and I'm like, that's awesome. I got to go try that right now. You're actually the one that turned me on to Visual Electric. And I mean, Visual Electric in the generative AI space it's just game changing, absolutely game changing.
It's really, to me, it's truly wild to me that like so many people don't know about it. Like
Yeah.
when you see these lists come out and it's always like Midjourney, Flux,
Mhm.
uh Videogram, like all these other tools, I'm like, why
Yeah.
is Visual Electric not
Yeah.
on these lists? It is
Yeah.
at, for me, in terms of
Mhm.
photorealism, it is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Yeah, yeah. It's honestly all that I've used for. Well, okay, so I do use Midjourney just because I teach and I need to be able to
Yep.
show different options. And people want to know about Adobe Firefly because it was trained on Adobe's information and not open source. But like it's not there yet. So all the tools that I recommend, I'm like, here's what they do. Here's the 3 program comparison or multi comparison. But Visual Electric wins almost every single time for realism and for control. Like you can create your own styles, and for designers, that's incredible. And you make some really cool stuff, especially with
Yeah.
words and branding. And
I
yeah,
mean, in terms of like images with words where it's actually spelled
yeah,
correctly and there's not mess ups, like Visual
mhm,
Electric again nails it. Leonardo
yeah,
AI nails it. Like,
mhm,
and that's what's kind of crazy now is we're almost, I mean, we're recording this, we're a few weeks away from 2025, and
mhm,
it's like when people are like, well, what should I use? It's like, they're all very, very good now. Like maybe
yeah,
6 months ago, I would tell you, like, this is the two you should use. But now
yeah,
it's like, go use any of them, honestly, and then
mhm,
play with them and stack them and make
yeah,
your own workflow because,
yep,
and they're only going to keep getting better. Like today
mhm,
is the worst they're ever going to be. And I think
yep,
that's something that people need to start kind of wrapping their mind around because I think at this,
mhm,
like, in the world we're in right now, there are a lot of people, a lot of AI naysayers that will say,
yeah,
like, oh, I can tell that's AI. I can tell that's AI. It's like, cool. In 6 months, you won't be able to.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yep. I mean, for me, like I have to do research because people will come to me and be like, is this AI or not? And sometimes I can't tell. Sometimes I'm like, either it's an incredible render of a space or it's like edited photography or it really is AI and I have to reverse image search. I look for meta tags. Like I do my research to figure out if that's real or not
yep.
because it's getting so real and video's still like a hot mess, but we're getting there quickly with video now. And Sora, one day we'll finally see Sora,
I mean, it
even though they
launched
said,
officially yesterday, but
where is it?
Like, I mean, immediately it was like, sorry,
Yeah,
signups are closed. And this was like
yeah,
deja vu of when they launched
yeah,
4.0, and then they were like, sorry, no one can be on the pro
yeah,
plan.
yeah.
And it's like, you guys, how are you not? You've been teasing us with this for
I
nine
know.
months. You didn't think we were all going to jump on it as soon as you launched it?
Right. Yeah.
Fair.
I know. And then like now there's so many other ones, but okay, let's talk about a few tools that, we just touched on Visual Electric and so many probably others in that sentence, but what are you specifically using right now in your day to day?
So, in terms of like large language models, I kind of jump back and forth between Claude and ChatGPT. And again, I think that's not what everyone likes to hear. Is they're like, hey, give me what is the best one. And I truly can't do that because it changes week to week. Every
Mm-hmm.
day, every week, we are getting new drops, new features on all of them,
Yeah.
and they're leapfrogging each other every month. It's like, well, this model is now the highest of the benchmarks, but truly ChatGPT and Claude, I think, are like, I don't really mess with Google Gemini. I don't mess
Mm-hmm.
with Grok.
Yeah.
Like Claude and ChatGPT, I think, are king when it comes to large language models. And
Mm-hmm.
then Perplexity
Mm-hmm.
is a answers engine. I wouldn't call it a search engine. It's more
Yeah.
of like an answers engine, and it's powered by AI.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say powered by AI, I mean it's powered by these large language models on the back end.
Yeah.
So basically you're going and using this instead of Google, where when
Mm-hmm.
you go in and put something into Google, you're going to get all of those ads. You're going to have to get, sort through the listicles when you're saying like, what's the top, XYZ headphones that I should have. It's like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to go through all of these and then figure it
And
out
who paid to be
myself.
there?
Where now Perplexity, you say like, what are the best headphones under $300
Mm-hmm.
that I can get in 2 days? And it's like, here's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Here are all the reviews right here. Plus, you can purchase now
Yep.
directly through Perplexity Shopping with
Yep.
free shipping.
Have you
And
done
so,
that yet?
no, I haven't done it yet,
Okay,
but
me either. I'm a little
but
nervous, but
I
I
need to
need to.
try
Something
it soon. I
small.
really think
Yeah.
I'm going to try it soon.
Yeah.
But I think in turn, what's so cool about Perplexity, if you're paying for it, is similarly to Chat and Claude, you can give it customized instructions. So you can
Mm-hmm.
tell it how you want it to output, even like search results. So
Mm-hmm.
when it gives me my outputs, it's still like sassy and funny. And it's like
Yeah.
everything now that I'm consuming is like me talking
Yeah.
to myself, which is very like a weird meta curated internet experience that
Yeah.
I'm in, but it's much more engaging and entertaining
Mm-hmm.
for me, right? It's like when there's
Yeah.
something that's boring that I don't care to read about. Like one time I
Mm-hmm.
used Perplexity. My sister was like selling me her old car for like a
Mm-hmm.
dollar. You don't have to like do
Yeah.
something like that. But she
Yeah.
lives in Indiana and I live in Illinois. And so it was like,
Okay.
what is all the steps that I'm going to have to go through to do this? And I
Yeah.
literally said, like, and this isn't something you could ever put into Google, but it was like,
Right.
hey, like my sister lives in Indiana, I live in Illinois, she's selling me
Mm-hmm.
this car, like it's from this year, like blah blah blah. And it literally was like, okay, steps Leslie needs to take. Here are the links. Here are the things that you need to fill out, the
Oh
documents
my
that you need to
God.
do. Make sure you do it by this time. Like, and I was just like floored
That's
that it's like
crazy.
these are the answers that I needed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have found that through Google. And
Yep.
so I think like the speed and the power of what this answers engine is able to do is just like next level compared to
Yeah.
Google and what you've
Yeah.
been experiencing with Google. But at the same time, I think like Google has really conditioned most humans that like you put in one simple like request and when you don't get it you just like run away and you're like, well, it didn't
Mm-hmm.
work. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, now it's like a conversation. So like
Yeah.
if you didn't get exactly what you want, correct it and say, no,
Yeah.
no, that's not what
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking. I was
Mm-hmm.
more thinking this. And then it'll be like, oh, thank you for that context and detail.
Yeah.
Now I can help you more. And I think we
Yeah.
have to be training people to really start understanding like that's how we need to chat
Yeah.
with these bots,
Oh my God. So it's so funny that you would say that. I think like a few episodes ago, like really kind of in the beginning, I did one about like how do you chat with a chat bot? And what I realized is that people forgot how to have conversations with people, right? Like since COVID, people have just like gone downhill with like how to be social off the internet and
Yeah.
like in person. I am also an introvert. I don't like to leave the house. I'm sure that I'm super awkward in real life too. But knowing this, like I can now have a conversation with these chat bots with ChatGPT, and etc. Just for context, and it's exactly what you just said. It's a conversation. You don't have a conversation with somebody in real life and be like, "Oh, answer, okay," and then walk away and then be done with it. Like you have qualifying questions. You have another question that continues the conversation on and on. That's what you do with these models. They've been trained on native language, which means human language, so they can sound like you. You don't need to talk to it like a robot. You'll get that in reply, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is like there is so much just like bad information out there around how to work with these things. So like when you see all these posts about like mega prompts where it's like an entire like 2-page document of a
Yeah.
prompt. It's like, no, that's not, I mean, yeah, sure, you've got SOPs and stuff, but it's like, it's
Mhm.
not quite the same. You need to
Yep.
really like be human with it
Yeah.
instead of just like here, I mean, some
Mhm.
things that works, but as a creative, I think that's
Mhm.
not the vibe for us, right? Like
Yep.
maybe mathematicians, maybe scientists, maybe there a
Mhm.
different niche is using
Yep.
prompting in that manner. But I
Mhm.
think for creatives, as creatives that have domain expertise, like, and that's what I like really press on the most, is like having domain expertise is really what is so important with using these models, because then what are
Mhm.
the right questions to ask, and what
Yep.
to push back on, and what to say that's not accurate, and
Yep.
when it's hallucinating, right? Whereas
Yep.
when you don't have that domain expertise, it's
Mhm.
almost like you're just talking to someone about something that you don't know anything about, and so how
Mm.
do you know when it's
Mhm.
accurate or not? And so I think
Right.
really reminding people that, like, if you're good at what you do and you've been doing
Mhm.
it for a long time, these things are not going to replace you. They are
Yep.
going to just elevate and expand
Mhm.
everything that you're doing in a way that, like, you can't even really imagine until you experience it, and
Yep.
then you're like, oh, what have I
Yeah.
been doing?
I
Like,
know.
it's
Yep.
really like a crazy unlock of, oh my God, this
Yep.
is possible. Because I don't
Yeah.
think people get it yet. I really don't think
No.
majority, there's like 4% of the US, or not the US, the world using ChatGPT on a regular basis. 4%.
Really? Wow.
4%. And of those, that percent, I bet you less than a quarter are actually using it knowingly.
That's
You know what
wild.
I mean? So we are
Yeah.
still so, so,
Yep.
so early,
Yep.
which I think is important to remind people, is like, you might
Mhm.
feel like you're behind. You're not. Like, if you
Mhm.
start using it right now, you are still very much
Yep.
a early adopter of this stuff.
Yep. Yep. I honestly don't remember, or I don't have like recent memory of like not using it every day. I don't remember what that's like. And it's so infused, not only with ChatGPT, but like AI integrations, whether they're legitimate or if they're kind of like AI washing and saying that it's AI inside of a lot of our programs, it's just second nature now. So it's like you see that spark, the little spark icon, that's kind of
Yep.
the indicator, right? That there's AI infused in the program. So if you click on that, you're like, oh, well, that just saved me 3 hours of creating whatever this is. But it's just like clicking on it and getting a feel for it. And there's like people think that they can mess it up, and you just can't. Like you literally can't mess this up. You just got to try it,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's the I don't know what the right word is. I was going to say the hoop we have to jump over, but we have to get over this idea of, like, when you start using it and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get relatively bad results.
Mhm.
And so then people are like, well, this isn't very good, so I don't understand why I should be using it. And so it's
Yeah.
like understanding that, like, you really do need to educate yourself on how it works. And like
Hmm.
that's why I'm trying to, like, I've got my
Hmm.
course and I've got my programs, because it's like,
Yep.
unless you really know what you're doing, you're not going to get the best results,
Right.
and so you're going to leave it and you're going to say, sorry, not for me.
Yep.
But it's
Yep.
like, if you know what you're doing and you're getting good results, then you're like, oh man, I'm on board 100%. So it's like
Hmm.
just really getting that, like, you gotta, it still is a skill. It's not a
Yep.
hard skill, but it is something
Hmm.
you need to just learn how they operate and they work, so that you are able to talk to it. But generally
Yeah.
speaking, it's asking the right questions and
Hmm.
knowing, like, really, that's it. It's just
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, and just continue to ask. And for me, it's nice to have the voice features because I don't want to be typing all day every day. So like on my phone, I will sit there, and whether I'm having like the advanced voice, conversation, or I'm just sitting there and I am not typing and I'm like doing
Dictating.
the audio.
Yep.
But it just speeds up the conversation. You can do it in a car, you can do whatever, and it just freaking changes everything. It really does.
It really
Um,
does.
yeah, like so you were talking about perplexity and research and stuff, and here is something that I did. I was at the voting poll, to go and vote this year,
Yep.
and I had researched all like the main candidates, like done all that before. But I went and there was people for the school board that were not showing up on my stuff, and so I went and I'm standing in this long line, and I was like, I'm just going to bring up perplexity, and I'm going to say, okay, here's the two candidates. Tell me what they've done. Non-bias, directly linked to their website, was telling me collections of like, well, this person on social media said these things and here's the backlash, but like here's the information, like do your own research. And for that, I was able to come to conclusions right there in line about who I wanted and who I didn't, with, again, non-biased information. So
Right.
for that, like, the research tool, as you keep saying, is just, it's amazing. It really is. It's not Google.
Yeah, and what's cool too about Perplexity is you can actually, and I don't think a ton of people know about this, but you can have it focus on where it's getting its information
Mm,
from. So say you're trying to do like research around maybe your like ideal clients, and Reddit is a really good place to go and find like what are like
mhm,
any like on any topic. It's like these are people's actual like opinions and stuff.
mhm.
You can literally say only look at social posts, and it'll
Yep.
go and only look at Reddit. It'll only go and look at like if you use Grok. I just tried Grok
Mhm.
the other day because I'm
Did you?
obviously not a Twitter X Elon fan,
Yep.
but they finally made it available for non like paying members. So I was like, I need to
Mhm.
at least like try it out.
Yeah.
And they have search baked in, but they also have it pulling from tweets, which I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know if I like, like in Reddit too. It's like,
Yeah.
so there is a lot of stuff that you have to do again on your own as a human to be able to
Mhm.
say, like, is this the information I want? Because
Yep.
yes, well, ChatGPT now has search integrated. And so
Mhm.
I think that's something that might, be a little bit problematic for Perplexity
Yep.
because previous to chat getting searched, what, like a month and a half
Mhm.
ago, maybe, it was Perplexity. Like you
Yep.
used, I mean, not you,
I did. Yeah.
everyone that is like in the AI space. That's
Mhm.
what their go-to search was because chat search wasn't very robust. It did a singular Bing search, but
Mhm.
now chat has baked in search and it's literally like, oh, here, I went to these 12 sites. Here
Mhm.
are the ones that I read through. You can see immediately what the dates are. So you can see, oh,
Yep.
this is from like 2023 or
Mhm.
this is from 2013, where maybe it doesn't matter if it's information from 2013, but maybe
Mhm.
it does, right? So
Yep.
you can go in and actually see like, okay, what are they pulling from? What are these websites it's getting information from? And the same with Perplexity. Perplexity is
Mhm.
going to give you all those sources. So it's still on you to make sure that what it gives you is right, because I
Mhm.
found Perplexity forgets what year it is all the time. When I
Ah.
ask about stuff about this year, it's
Uh-huh.
always like Barbieheimer. I'm like, that was
Mm.
last year. Like, that is not
Yeah.
year. We're done with Barbie.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
found that like sometimes you have to really remind it, like,
Mhm.
even if I say this year, it thinks that it's like last
Right.
year. It's strange. So
Yeah.
of course these things are still very early
Mhm.
days. So
Mhm.
we
Yep.
as humans again need to be very careful and cognizant about what information we're taking from it and actually running with. If it's
Mhm.
factual, like that's important that you're checking it. If it's creative, then like who cares? Like a
Mhm.
lot of
Mhm.
people where like when I'm working with it, it's like, oh, but it'll hallucinate. It's like, I don't care if it hallucinates. I'm asking for creative ideas to like write a
Right.
story. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't
Not
doesn't
math.
need to be
Yeah.
real. I want the imaginary stuff. I want
Mhm.
the out of the box thinking.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
think it's very, niche and use case dependent on how these things are used
Yeah.
by different people.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's kind of talk about that. So I let me give you a rundown of the things that I'm using, and I'm
Yep.
gonna miss some, okay? But I'm basically using ChatGPT, large language models, Perplexity for searching. I have Photoshop that I'm using the AI. I've always used Photoshop, but using like the AI features. I use Stable Diffusion based programs to either do like ideation of rooms or like run my Photoshop post renders or whatever I've done in Photoshop through those Stable Diffusion based programs to make things look more photorealistic. I mean, Midjourney, which now has edit, we kind of talked about that
Hmm.
for some people. We can circle back, but that Visual Electric, I mean, those are like the core programs. And then, interior design tools
Yep.
that I can think of off the top of my head. And then note takers. I mean, note takers changed the game for me. Like just in my phone now, I have that. If you're sitting in a meeting, Plod, not Claude. They're like the same name, but different. So Claude for recording. And then I use Fathom for my notes when we are, online. So that's like my day to day. But like you just said, it depends on who you are. Like people in my industry could not be using the same tools. It just depends on your business model. So, what kind of things are you seeing or using specifically that relate to you?
Yeah, so I'm using a lot of those same ones. I'm obviously using Perplexity. I think
Mhm.
Perplexity too, like as a coming from like the brand design side of things, and I'm teaching a lot of brand designers that are working with clients, and it's like it doesn't like there's a lot of designers that are like, well, I don't want to use it to like come like design my logo. It's like, don't use it to design your logo. Use it to take the intake, the call that you had with your
Mhm.
client, and take all that transcript from it and bring that into ChatGPT and
Mhm.
use that to break down the entire
Yes.
conversation and come up
Yes.
with a full brand strategy.
Mhm.
Or literally take the intake questions before you even have your call with them and be able to
Mhm.
have answers ready to go for, like, I think there's just
Yeah.
so much you can do that doesn't necessarily have to replace the the parts
Mhm.
that you enjoy the most, right? Where
Yep.
it's like a lot of writers are like, oh, I don't want to use it to write for me. Don't use it to write for you,
Mhm.
right? But
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
using ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude for like the
Mhm.
strategy ideation side of things, and then
Yep.
visually, I do all sorts of different stuff. I'm kind of like, since
Mhm.
I don't work with like actual clients anymore and I'm really doing more
Mhm.
of the teaching and exploring, I'm getting to
Mhm.
play with all of the tools, which is so cool. But
Yeah.
recently, I have been on a Suno kick, and
Okay.
Suno is the songs and music AI.
Oh,
So
cool.
I have my course Basecamp coming out, and
Mhm.
I worked with ChatGPT to come up with like, what are the taglines and how do I want to kind of speak to it. But then I gave it all that information and told it to act as a expert songwriter. So it
Mhm.
wrote me this song about my course, and then I was able to take those lyrics and bring them into Suno and play.
Uh-huh.
Should we play the song?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Can
my
you?
God. I'm like obsessed. And it's so crazy because so Suno 4 just
Okay.
came out not that
Yeah.
long ago. And before we had version 4, it wasn't able to really get lyrics. It was more just like you could hear the song, but it wasn't like clear.
Yeah.
Now it's wild what it can do. Let me see if I can find it. I have a lot. I have one
Okay.
about a diss track for the Jaguar rebrand, but here, let's see if it'll play.
Let's hear it. Keep going.
The voice when your friends finds it slow. Sure, Auntie thinks you need to know.
Crazy. It's like Avril.
Like this could be like a real song.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's
Like
crazy.
that's like Avril Lavigne. It could be
Yes.
Avril, and it's like literally 10 seconds that it takes from when you say like go to the song is created. It
Okay.
creates 2 songs for you. And so I'm like, oh my God, the amount of time you could save, the amount of money you could save clients if you're creating like ads, like to be able to
Mhm.
just like the amount of hours that I have lost to looking through stock music,
Yeah.
video, photos in my past life
Mhm.
is far too many that I care to count. The fact that I can
Yeah.
go in and literally create the perfect jingle, the perfect
Mhm.
podcast like intro song, the perfect outro for an ad, the perfect, like it's so crazy and it's cheap. It's like
Mhm.
$10 a month to like be able to
Wow.
create so many songs. So
Yeah.
like I've really been on a kick with that lately. I've
Mhm.
been playing with obviously the new video stuff, and I think
Yep.
like in your world to be
Mhm.
able to take these renderings of
Mhm.
someone's home and then bring them to life with
Yeah.
video. And now there's a
Yeah.
new tool called, I haven't played with it yet. I'm going to not get it right. It's like WorldCraft. I don't think that's what it's
Okay.
called. But it's basically you can give it one single static image and it will
I
create a
have.
3D world for you.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to take one image
Mhm.
and then whatever
Yeah.
that looks like, you have that entire vibe and aesthetic through a
Mhm.
3D experience that you could then
Yeah.
throw an Apple Vision Pro on your client's head and be like,
Mhm.
walk, go,
Yep.
enjoy your new space. Do you
Yep.
like it? What should we
That we
change?
didn't sit
It's
there
like,
and render for 40 hours, you know?
it's it's so crazy,
Mhm.
some of these things that we can do now. And I think the
Yeah.
fact that we've got video, we've got image, we've got audio, it's like these are all the
Yeah.
things that can really create an engaging piece of content. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that now, and like what I teach in my course a lot, is how to create content that is actually going to speak to your audience. So
Mm-hmm.
like for interior designers, being able to go into ChatGPT and say, this is my ideal clients. They
Yep.
live in this area. They make this much money. They're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. These are the types of homes that they're at. All of this. Here are their concerns about spending money. Here are their
Mm-hmm.
goals. Blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. All of that information, you throw it in there, and then you say,
Yep.
give me 20 content ideas that I could create to talk to these people about why X, Y, Z. And
Mm-hmm.
it just gives it to you in a way that like is so insane, because
Mm-hmm.
most people that are running their own business are good at the thing that their
Yep.
business is. They are
Yep.
not marketers. They are not
Mm-hmm.
content creators. They are, in your sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
interior designers that didn't
Mm-hmm.
go to business school, right? They
Yep.
learn how to be this. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can use AI to supplement those
Mm-hmm.
things and be able to actually market yourself and sell yourself and speak to those people, then you
Yep.
are going to be the one that people want to work with, because you're like,
Yes.
oh, this person gets me. And it's like,
Yep.
I do get you. And I
Mm-hmm.
did use a robot to help me with that. But like,
Yep.
I understand how to, and you can even
Mm-hmm.
use that to be able to understand your clients more. Like,
Yep.
there's
Yep.
just so many possibilities. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just, my brain goes crazy about it, because it's so, they're truly, it's like anything that you can imagine, you could
Yep.
probably use it for. And so trying to kind of pare down what you are using it for, because it can be
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. It's just like,
Yeah.
you're telling me I can do anything? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, let's focus on like, what are the things that you hate
Mm-hmm.
doing, or what are the things
Yep.
you love doing, and like figure it out
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
Yep.
Spend an hour each week just sitting down and dedicating
Mm-hmm.
an hour to like playing and seeing or learning, like watching
Yep.
YouTube's, come in my course,
Yep.
come watch Jenna stuff. Like,
Yep.
there are so many places now that you can learn that, like,
Mm-hmm.
don't bury your head in the sand, because
Mm-hmm. It's not
it's not
slowing
going
down.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
people think, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a crypto. I was going to say a crypto, but crypto's
Yeah.
back too. So it's
No.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I fear the people that fear it are going
Mm-hmm.
to be struggling in
Yeah.
a year or two's time. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
that timeline seems absurd, but like,
Yeah.
this is moving
That's how
very, very
fast it's going.
fast.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so many things that I wanted to circle back to. I'm gonna get at least one. So I just want to like mention the fact that like you said, for creatives, like we now have endless opportunities to create content, to roll with our existing content, to enhance what we're already doing, for lack of an AI term, but to enhance what we're already doing as creatives.
It's only an
So
AI term because we humans use
I
it.
know.
I
It
say
just really likes
it's the right
it.
word to use.
Yeah. So with this, like think about when we got, for us, like SketchUp or Photoshop, like before that we were doing hand drawn blueprints and we were doing like everything by hand, right? So then we got creative tools, we got technology, and we use them. We found new ways to create presentations. We do VR walkthrough tours. We already do video, like we integrated 3 dimensions and audio and video and all of that stuff into what used to be a flat 2-dimensional
Yeah.
process. So think about now when those tools are entirely endless and you have them at your fingertips for minimal fees or free in a lot of cases. What are you going to do with them? Like that's where we come in, where we're like, hey, here's an option. So like my program is called The Daily. We get 30 minutes of training videos every single morning, 6 a.m., watch them with your coffee. So like you said, like take an hour out of your week and learn something. That is what my program does. But it's
Yep.
focused topics on specific things. And we learn something different every week. But I shoot those videos like the morning before or the night before, because it changes so quickly that if I'm teaching it this week, you're going to have the most up-to-date information. And I want to see what you do with it. So like what I do with it could be very different, but the tools are all the same. So the
Mhm.
creative, like run with it, it's going to change, and it's going to make just not only like online creative really cool, but also just the worlds that we live in, when we start to bring it into the tangible. So I'm excited. It's going to be
Me
cool.
too. And I agree with the like speed of things. So I'm supposed to be launching my 2.0 version of my course on
Yeah.
Tuesday. And so a week from today, and of
Mhm.
course, OpenAI last week was like,
Mhm.
by the way, we're going to announce something every day for the next 12 days. I was like, cool. So I literally
Yeah.
had to email everyone and say, listen, I'm going to get you guys like the good stuff about prompting, about customizing, about how to talk to it, the basics, but
Yeah.
I'm going to wait to give you guys the lay of the land of what this
Mhm.
looks like, because from leaks that I've seen, it looks like we're
Mhm.
getting projects in ChatGPT, which
Mhm.
will be massive. Right
Yeah.
now, there is zero organization. There
Oh,
is
it's a
no
cluster.
way to organize. It looks like we're going to be getting projects, which is very similar to
Mhm.
what Claude has, where you can literally say, okay, here's a project that I'm working on. So in your case, this specific client is a
Mhm.
project, right? You put all the
Yeah.
information about that client, you take their intake in there, you put
Mhm.
their transcripts of the calls that you've had, all that information in there. And then anytime you're working on that project, you just pull it up and it has all the information. So similar to custom GPTs, but it's just
Mhm.
organized now in ChatGPT. So the fact that that's coming is going to
Mhm.
change how I would tell people to work with it, right?
Yeah.
We
Yep.
also now have the ability to search in ChatGPT, where
Mhm.
before there was no way to go back and find old conversations unless you used the mobile app search, and it wasn't even
Mhm.
good. It would only go back
Mhm.
2 weeks. So it's like
Yeah.
we've got all these new things. So I literally was like, all right, hold on. I'm going to wait for the dust to settle. Once they're
Mhm.
done announcing stuff, then I'm going to give you guys the most up to date, so that I'm not giving you something that feels out of date. And
Mhm.
that has been my struggle with, like, that's why I'm
Yeah.
re-recording, this whole course from last time, because it's
Mhm.
outdated from a year
Yep.
ago. It was outdated a month after that. So
Yeah.
I'm also introducing another program starting in January that's a 12-week that's kind of more similar to what you're doing. It's called
Mhm.
Bottomless, because
Okay.
again, there are so many ways to use it. So it's basically I'm teaching you how to use AI at every touch point to help build
Mhm.
your brand. So,
Yep.
okay, let's figure out who your clients are. Let's figure out what your content pillars
Mhm.
are, and using AI all along the way.
Cool.
Each week they get a video
Mhm.
around a different part of that. Plus they get like extra drops each week,
Mhm.
because it's really bottomless. And my
Mhm.
brain, I'm doing stuff every day. I'm like, why don't I just record everything that
Yes.
I'm doing and just
Yep.
let people watch it? Because
Yep.
I truly think that is the best way to learn how
Mhm.
to work with AI, is just watch someone else that knows what they're
Yep.
doing work with it. Because it's
Mhm.
like, oh, I see what you did there. I guess I could
Mhm.
probably ask it this, but until you
Yep.
see everything you can do, you don't know what you can do. So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
I think you obviously are already nailing it. You get it. You're giving them content every day. So I think that's sort of, it might be the way that we start moving with AI education, is it
Yep.
needs to just be that constant thing. Because
Mhm.
again, like, I've got my newsletter that I send out, Artificial Insanity, and it's like
Yeah.
every week I can't even keep up with it.
No.
There's so many updates, changes,
Mhm.
new things happening that,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
every day,
And you
literally.
can't take a break. Like,
No,
there's no vacation time unless if you wanna come back and be like, "What did I miss?" Because now I missed 7 days. What am I gonna do?
I literally went on vacation, and the entire time I was like, okay, so this came out, this came out, this
Yep.
came out. And it's just like, it truly hasn't stopped the entire year. And I don't
Yeah.
see it slowing down. And
Mm-mm.
that's the thing. I really
Yeah.
don't. So, like, jump on board.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the last thing because we probably should wrap it up in a minute, but we can talk about this forever, so you got to come back. But it's interesting to me to hear people that say, I'm never going to use AI, and it's like that's just impossible. And you really don't understand that because like it is literally in everything pretty much. Oh, is that a little bug? Sorry. Literally in everything already. It's on your phone. It's integrated into your search engines. It's in your browser. Like it's there. It's in your camera roll, I think, like depending on what phone you have, which is scary. But like it's everywhere and you literally cannot say I'm never going to use AI because you would have to get a flip phone. You would have to, and maybe then like not with the internet, like there's no way around it. So it will be interesting to see, because I know some designers that are just like I don't want to use it in my business, and I think that they think that that's like generative AI and creating concepts. Fine, nobody ever has to do that. That's just something that like is fun and can give us some
And
ideation and
saves you time.
saves you time, and you don't have to like scour for
And you
images
can
before you
create
render.
more versions. You can create
Yep.
more iterations. Like,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
just, you don't
You can
have to
take
use it,
notes and create it. Like there's so many possibilities, but they're like, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to sketch. And it's like, great. And you can do that. Absolutely. You can do that. But you're going to be like finding this super niche in the market. And then it's like, how do you market to those people on social media? Or do you just walk around your town and tell them? Because if you go on social media, there's AI. So you will be using AI. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't get that argument.
Yeah. And the other thing too is it's like, do you think that people are looking to work with people that are like, no, we're not forward thinking. We're going to just like, it's giving, I didn't want to ever get a website. And look, I mean, as someone that literally has had a coming soon on her website for 4 years, I probably am not the person to say that, but it really does give this idea of like, hey, I'm not open to forward thinking, and I'm not going to use any sort of technology that's going to help me either save you money as a client, give you more options. And while you're not doing that, all of your competitors are. So like, who are they going to choose? Someone that's going to take 6 months to get their project done, or someone that's going to take 6 weeks to get their project done and give them more options than you're going to give them? I'm going to go work with the other, you know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
I think a lot of people think that I don't use AI as a flex, and it's like, not really.
Yeah.
The only people that you are like pulling in with that are other people that don't want to use AI, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Let's see how it all plays out. I'll be watching
Yeah.
those people, see if they start falling off social when they start seeing how it's really in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And even
hmm
like with the iPhone, I got the new iPhone, and just like a couple days ago, the new camera button on it, when you hold it down, I could like literally take a picture of this microphone, these headphones, and it'll just in 2 seconds be like, oh, here's where you can buy all these things. And it'll
Wild.
find them. Like I took a picture of a dish that I had. I don't even know where I got it. And it pulled it up on like, found it on Etsy and at some museum. And it's just
Wow.
like, oh, okay. And then you can ask ChatGPT about the stuff right there
Yep.
in your phone, because now ChatGPT's in iOS. So
hmm
it's not good. If you got an iPhone and it's anything newer than a 15,
Yeah.
AI's in there, baby.
Yeah. And they're going to force you to get that regardless because it's a pyramid
Right.
scheme. Sorry, I'm not an Apple user. But
It is a scheme. Apple is a scheme, but
yeah.
I love it. Just take advantage of me.
I have been a longtime Samsung user. I love, I've got the Fold, so everything's on here, and I can just have like all the fun stuff. But like my AI just snuck in here like a year ago. There's been stuff, and I just started seeing just more and more. And I'll like add widgets to Perplexity. I've got a widget for my note taker where I just press it and it can
Yep.
record and then summarize, and then like it's just there. And whether you want to say that that microphone just recorded and summarized and didn't use AI or not, like it did. And just because you don't want to acknowledge that, it is a thing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm going to add show notes for your programs, which I think are awesome, especially with designers that are looking to brand and define brand voice, brand style, graphically, all that fun stuff. And also your Instagram, of course, so that they can follow you. I'm not on TikTok. We'll see if that even shuts down. Are you on TikTok or?
That's a hilarious story. So I'm supposed to
Okay.
be doing a TikTok takeover for ChatGPT
Oh,
in
really?
in February, and I'm like, maybe it's happening or maybe it's not. I don't know. But no, I'm
Yeah.
like very not on TikTok, which is
Okay.
why I was like, I need some time to get. I'm on there,
Yeah.
but like I have
Yeah.
10 posts because
Yeah.
from my past life of like being at Ulta and like just being so like in that social space, I was like, if I bring myself into that world on top of Instagram, on top of everything else, I will literally never come out of that black hole.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, pick one, focus on
Mhm.
this one, and be
Yeah.
good with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with TikTok, because I think
Yeah.
a lot of creators that are over there, if it does get banned, it's going to be, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And then the influx coming back to Instagram and then like fighting for, so it's just going
Yeah,
to
it's
be,
all going to be wild. I
but
don't
man,
know.
I am happy that I did not waste my time, both
Well, that's what I
scrolling
mean.
and building.
Should I spend the next like month trying to like put some content on there so that if I do this takeover, it's there, or is it not
Yeah.
even going to happen? I don't
Yeah.
want to waste my time.
I
I
know.
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. But I think one thing's for sure, and that is everything is always changing when it comes to social media and AI. So I guess that's probably a good note for us to leave on is like
Yeah,
follow us, learn from us.
yeah.
We
Follow
are
it.
into this.
No, and I think like it's helpful to remind people that we're into it with our domain experience, right?
Yeah.
Like we are coming into it having already done the thing that you're doing, and now we're showing you how to use this new tool. We're not AI people. We don't, we know how it
Hmm.
works, but we're not the ones like creating
Yeah.
this stuff. We know
Hmm.
how to do the thing that we're good at, and we figured out how to integrate this new tool. And I think that's
Hmm.
so important, is learning from someone that actually has already been doing the thing, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's why we are good options.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
too.
I agree. And lastly, ladies in tech. I just love to see ladies in tech, and I think you can probably agree.
Yes, I think so.
It's nice. And last week, on the Medi episode, I interviewed a woman named Mariah. So
Yes.
she created a program, basically, that tracks all of your orders and sends you updates with everything that's been sent to your inbox, with like notifications, and send it to your team members. Every single tracking process, like every step of the way, it's maintaining and automatic. So love to see that. I hope to have a lot more other ladies in tech on, in future episodes.
I'll send some your way for sure,
Yeah,
because I
I'd love
agree.
that. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me, Jenna. This was fun. Let's do it
Anytime.
again.
Yeah, we will for sure.
Cool. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tune in next week for more AI tips for your design business. See you next time.